All right. What's up, guys? It's the Toasty Podcast. My name is Sky.
And I'm Matty B.
Today, I have one of my longtime friends here. We've been friends probably, I don't know, since we were freaking in first grade.
21 years?
21 years. Wowzers. His name is Justin. Let's get toasty.
Oh, is that the intro?
Yeah.
Oh, is it cut right there?
Yeah, and then there's a guy, yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll play some music and it'll be like...
All right, so here we are. Yeah, like I said, just hanging out. And really, Justin's like, he's a fanatic, man. He's a fanatic about this shit. And,
Not really. I would think that my fandom touches the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Comes to liking it.
I guess first, well, how you been? You know, let's get the personals out of the way.
All right. I've been doing good. Fortunately, the epidemic hasn't really affected my life too much.
So what do you do?
I work with a retail company, and I pretty much stop online e-commerce fraud. So I do fraud prevention.
Okay, interesting.
So because of everybody staying at home and ordering more online, I think that it has led to a sense of job security.
Yeah,
fortunately,
records highs.
Dude, you're telling me, man. Amazon's like, I don't know. Amazon's a shit. That's all I can say.
Well, Amazon's pretty much everywhere online is killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people want to think that a lot of companies are really hurting, and there are very specific industries that are hurting really bad right now. But I think that the vast majority of companies, if they had created an established online presence, I think they're doing okay. Well, I mean, they're still hurting, but I mean, they're surviving.
I mean, there's some companies that literally they changed their whole business model, to be online. Now they're like, oh, we already had an online thing going. Let's just push more into that,
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming more than 30% of their thing. It's 60 now and 70 and whatever,
Right.
Pretty crazy. Sorry, guys. We're dealing with this mic situation. I don't have that shit set up, so just got to wait till you get it,
Well,
Not famous yet, so whatever. What are you going to do,
Just gotta pass it back
What are
and
you going
forth.
to do, man? Really, what... Okay, so let's just nail it down. What the hell is K-pop?
K-pop is Korean pop music.
Yeah?
Yeah. So
that's what you're feeling right now.
I am feeling it.
Okay, all right, let's get it, man. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And a huge reason why K-pop is really hitting it for me right now is because the American pop scene is in shambles right now.
And that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, how influential is American popular culture to K-pop, or is it really Korean popular culture that drives K-pop? Is it their own?
Yeah, I would say that.
Kind of mirroring.
Well, I would
US
say
pop?
that the influence that the U.S. has had on South Korea is pretty great, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same as the U.S. influence on Japan, as the same influence on Vietnam. Whatever country that we have touched in a major war, especially if we had helped liberate that country and set up a democratic state, which happened in Japan and with South Korea, then our influence is really huge. And you can even tell that in K-pop today, because sometimes 50%, 60% of the song will actually be in English. So there's a huge portion of the song that is in English, because they know that the U.S. connection to their own home country is very strong, but they also know that they have a large fandom in the United States. Mm-hmm. So I think that those two things play into it.
Okay.
For the longest time, I didn't really understand it. It's this weird some of it sounds. Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe it's just it's the appeal of foreign music, I guess. Some of it sounds similar, right? It doesn't sound that. Some of it doesn't sound that different from our pop, right? I mean it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that a lot of it is mirroring the EDM type feel, very synth heavy,
happy,
very
usually really
low basses hits and stuff like that. That I mean, that obviously people love in America. Like right now, I would think that the United States is going through more of a like indie feel, like very different things are popular right now. Like a lot of TikTok music is very huge right now. That is not your standard type of music. Like some of it is just like repetitive, kind of like EDM-y.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, those reasons that sorry, you can cut that.
Dude, you're good. Keep cruising, bro.
Okay, so yeah, like I don't know what it is. I think for me, I like really started to get into K-pop around 2017, and that was really whenever I just kind of got bored with U.S. music. But I mean, like the thing about K-pop is that part of its beauty is not knowing what they're saying. Like just hearing the melody, hearing like the emotions behind the words. I think those are like huge factors in like what makes K-pop so interesting to me is that you can really take a song and you can kind of apply it to your life in however which way you want to. And I think that with American music and understanding like that there are very specific, you know, lyrics that the song is trying to drive for and knowing the language that the song is in, it's hard to, I mean, you can still do it, but I mean, like, I just find it harder to take a song and put it into my own like spectrum of life. And with K-pop, I find that it's much easier to do that because I don't have to focus on what they're saying. And I think on a like music video, you can turn off the captions,
subtitles or whatever.
The subtitles. So
I get that.
then you really get immersed into like what is the beat, what is the vibe of the song, and like what is the emotion behind the song that you can.
And they throw like everything in it. Like it's not just a song, dude. Like it's a whole production. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That thing with
I haven't even touched that yet.
I know, right? Like it goes ham. I just don't understand what clicked and made you like say, you know, this is it. But I mean, all in all, like it probably is kind of better than our pop music right now. So
yeah,
I can't really say much about that. Like we have WAP, you know, WEP, whatever the hell it is. WAP.
You know.
Yeah, WAP. Sorry, my bad. My bad, guys.
Isn't it WAP?
WAP. WAP.
I think it's WAP.
It's WAP. WAP, bro. Damn. I'm not even gonna talk about what it stands for because that's like, you know,
we can't.
We can't be. We'll get canceled. We'll get canceled, dude. No, we won't get canceled for that. No one will care. But we would have to censor out two of the words.
But no, going
that's
off.
What we have.
No, yeah,
in America.
That is a great point. That is a great point. I mean, look at just like go to YouTube, type in like the top trending new music in the U.S. Like what type of music is it? It's usually music that has a lot of vulgar language. It's over sexualized. It has a thread of violence in it. Whether it's, you know, ratata, you know, I mean, that's like talking about gunning someone down, right? So it has these threads of violence in it. It has all these things that I personally just don't find appealing. I think that, you know, a song can have like a good beat or whatever, but I think that the current like trending music, like on YouTube and things that are like really blowing up in the US, I think have just like a negative thread that it feeds into our own personal culture. Wow. Like the United States has a culture problem right now, obviously. And so,
I can definitely agree. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It just adds an atmosphere. It makes you an atmosphere. You're creating an atmosphere when you create this music that's like negative, you know?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think like you go to an EDM festival, rave, wherever you go, and there's EDM music, and everyone's just like, besides the drugs, obviously play a role. Mm-hmm. Everyone's happy, dude. Everyone's into it. Yeah, you know, even if you're not doing anything, you're not on anything per se, or quote unquote rolling. Like, everyone's into it. Everyone's happy. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the drugs. I mean, the atmosphere that they're in. I mean, it's loud, repetitive music that has almost no content at all.
Correct. Yeah, and like that's a great point. I think
the content like is just so negative and so shallow that they have to take drugs to make it mean anything to them.
Well, I think that a lot of EDM has like almost no lyric. And so like I think that it can also apply the same as K-pop in that you don't have to have this preconceived story being told to you and then you have to try to find a way to like associate it to your life.
Apply to your life.
Yeah, I think that EDM is like, like people love it because they can take that music and they can apply it to their own personal emotions. And I think that K-pop is a lot in the same way, in that, there might be like an English chorus, right? But usually it's pretty basic, But not knowing the lyrics, I think, is probably one of the most appealing factors of K-pop. But there are other elements of K-pop that make it great. And I can go into that if you want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So another reason why K-pop is just hitting is the focus around the members of the bands, right? So usually K-pop bands have a larger than normal group size, right? I mean, you might find a K-pop band that has 4, 6, 12, 15 members. And I think that what that does is it creates a fan culture around each of the individual members. But I think that because of the way that K-pop is structured in Korea, it's very like top down, like executive company down to the members. And these members are, I mean, some people like want to say that they're forced to be like goody two shoes, but I think that a lot of them are just genuine. I think that that's the culture they come from. I think South Korea has a good, good culture for young people to have respect for their elders. I think it's just a very traditional Asian thing, right? And so I think that these people are like legitimately good people. And they portray that whenever they have their fans. So like these people have, a large number of fans. And I think that, the groups will have a fandom about them that just makes it very energetic, very exciting, very positive. I think there's a lot of negative fandom with K-pop on like Twitter and stuff like that. But I think as just a general fan, I think it's very fun to like have, your favorite member of a band or whatever. And then knowing that whenever their part comes up in a song that you're just really vibing with it because you love that specific member.
Right.
And then 3, I think that, the music videos are just absolutely, they're dynamite. Like they make US music videos look like depressing tales, right? And I think that that's a lot of what's going on in like the US pop scene, is that there's a lot of like harder topics. I think like depression and stuff like that is like these things that are like really influential. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have music about it and stuff.
Yeah. But like, going back to the music videos, like it's just fun, right? And there's always like some type of like associated dance. So you can almost recognize music by the dances in the music because they're so like very specific to that song. I think some of the most popular songs in America have dance moves associated with them, right? But what K-pop does is they associate a dance move with literally every song. So if a song really, really hits, that song's dance move is also a part of its identity, right? It's not only the song, but now it's the song and it's a dance move. So I think like a lot of like the big songs in 2020, they have dance moves that are very iconic in my eyes. And I know that, like I have some friends that are huge about K-pop, and they like I could literally just do one dance move and they would instantly know the song. They'd be like, that's God's Menu by Stray Kids, or that's How You Like That by Blackpink or whatever. So I think those things really, really pull into it.
I think a lot of people have this perception that K-pop is like Gangnam Style, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. That's where it got big, right? When did it get big? When do we have? And you know what? Another thing I want to say, I always felt like maybe it's because of American culture in general, but you feel like, oh man, is K-pop girly? I don't know. It's not. It's definitely not. They have a lot of different stuff you don't hear, but all the stuff that's publicized, I guess, or maybe stuff that I've heard before I knew you or someone else that likes K-pop, was that there was a bunch of girls that loved this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is like maybe like an outside looking in perspective.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I was definitely an outside looking in. I didn't know.
Yeah, like being a fan of K-pop, I've never felt like, oh man, this is weird because I'm a dude. Like I've never once felt that.
Dude, sweet.
Yeah, but as far as like what you were saying just now about
everyone thinks that it's like based on like they all think of
Psy.
Gangnam Style and Psy. They think of that, right?
So I mean, you're not wrong. I think that Psy, like he really, I don't want to say he like broke the ceiling for K-pop to come to America, but I think that he was a huge influence for the big companies to say, okay, holy crap, like, why are we not marketing our Korean stars in America? Because there were very popular Korean pop music before Psy. But I think that he was a huge influence for them. I mean, but like look at Gangnam Style. That song literally hits every single tick that I was just talking about. It's fun.
The dance moves.
The dance move. The music video is awesome, right? You don't quite know what he's saying for the whole song, but you know that beat, right? It's like all those things are like that specific structure is it's a very successful structure because what's music? Because like music is fun, right?
That's another thing is like it seems like structure. It is structure, and I get that, and it's like. Sometimes maybe it feels forced. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like as far as manufactured, right? We know
there's a process to that structure.
Yeah, we know how they're doing it, right? Yeah. And I get it. It makes
Market
sense.
Research.
It's what everyone wants, so they're gonna make it. It affects me because I think about it like, man, it's a corporation making this. If you actually know how K-pop is, right? At that point, you're thinking, man, it's a corporation making this. It's weird, and. In pop music today in America, hold on, I agree it's better than that, and I agree that it's very soulless. Pop music today seems soulless, and there's a lot of talk about mental health issues and things like that happening.
Yeah.
But when you think about a normal band, like a classic band, like not even just classic rock or any of that stuff, I'm talking about just any band that we used to have. Actually, these days, you don't really hear about it. The closest thing I can think of is like One Direction and like boy bands like that. It's just vocal bands, and that's kind of the same idea as maybe K-pop. It's fun, it's energetic. They make their beats, they do their thing, and they do it constantly, right? And that's what produces the fans. But when you go back to like regular bands where you have the normal instruments and stuff like that, I feel like it's not involved. K-pop's not as involved as that. Like you have the soul there, and you have the people that are making the music, and they all have their guitar and their drums and all that stuff, right? This is not an argument necessarily against K-pop or for it, or really it's just kind of a general comment on how bands used to be like. There was a lot more soul involved.
Well, because they were
right?
the producers. The band was the producer, and I think that you're right? Like. Looking at K-pop today, it is a very manufactured thing. Every song has pretty much the same structure. It's like a sub melody and then a main melody and then a beat and then a drop. And then at the very end, there's like a sub chorus and then it does the finale. That's like that structure is like the proven method, right? And also when it comes to like writing music and stuff like that, I don't want to surprise you, but pretty much every American artist doesn't write their own music.
Sure.
You look at the credits, like songs have credits now, and they say like, hey, like these are all the people that worked on the song. Like this isn't like the sole like creation of one person.
Well, it's more like a production now. You're saying, right? Even in America.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
Right.
Yeah, and it has to be right because, when it comes down to it, why do people like make music, or like why does a company want to make music? To make money. Right, and so you have to have all this market research in there to make music, to make money.
It sucks because like, yeah, you're right. It just sucks because like you're thinking like I can't create something that I want to have fun anymore and have fans for it, right? Well, Twitch, I guess, works now, but then again, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing with that.
Well, like going off what you're saying about like creating something because you want to, like what does every like American famous person have to do today? They have to have a point of view on like hot political topics, and they have to have all this like very like set, well, I'm this way, I'm very inclusive, and so whenever they want to try to create music that makes an effect on the world, what they do is they focus on these things that they like align with, and their music reflects that, which they think is successful, and it can be for a lot of people like a good remedy is that this artist understands me. But I think that like there is a beauty in just having good music and just having fun, right? Like that can bring happiness to people. It doesn't have to have like this huge like political like undertone. Right. Like it can just be a fun pop song, and I think that's what K-pop really strives to do.
I also think that people maybe get too involved in thinking that they make it for the listener, and you don't have to make it for the listener. Like if I cut my listeners out, I'm not worried about who's watching this podcast. It helps me actually, just because I'm not worried about a lot, and we're making a podcast because I want to do it. Well, I think maybe it's the same with music, right? K-pop, I don't know if they're necessarily worried about the listeners. The corporations are, of course, right?
Right.
They want the money.
Yeah, and I mean,
Are the
I think
individuals worried about that? I don't
think
know. Maybe they're just having fun.
that can hold people back too when they're really focusing on like trying to like impress people specifically, and they're holding back from just expressing
Who they
themselves
are.
100%. Yeah,
That's something you struggle with no matter what. Like if you're on camera or doing music or whatever you're doing, it's hard, man. For sure, you know.
yeah, because you want to like you don't want people to be upset at you.
You don't.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's another thing that comes to today's culture is like we've talked about cancel culture on the show before. It's toxic, and it's leading to this thing where you have the person you're talking about that's trying to be famous and has to have their hot takes on everything, you
Yeah.
know? And that leads to this, right?
Yeah.
So we have this huge mass following of K-pop because we don't like our own music anymore. And
Because it just doesn't.
what does that
fulfill
turn
that
into,
itch.
you know? And how many times has K-pop even been over here? Like, I don't hear about that many concerts of K-pop. I just don't.
Well, I think coronavirus has a
Besides
take in that.
that, even before
Well, no, I mean, like, have you heard of
right?
BTS?
Yeah, well,
They're,
hey,
like,
I
BTS
can't
is-
say hell yeah, I know who they are, but I can say you've told me about them.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's about it.
BTS, like, they've had music on American radios, right? That's
Oh,
like played like
shoot.
on American radios.
Okay.
And they've been held back from touring the U.S. because of coronavirus. And I think that their latest tour that I was supposed to go to was a big like step down. I think in their global influence because it was a global tour, and I think that like people go on these global tours not just to make money, but to gain global influence, right?
Dude, when you do any kind of tour, what are you doing, you know? When I'm walking the streets like, hey, take a t-shirt, Toasty Podcast, that's what I'm doing. I'm touring in my
Right.
town. You're trying to get freaking followers, dude. Of course,
Yeah.
right?
More followers,
And
more money.
Tours sound fun. I know that they don't always end up that way.
Yeah, and I was gonna say with a tour comes all the advertisement and publicity that goes with the tour, so it's just spreading the word. And yeah, I think COVID's probably had a huge impact on like multinational entertainment because a lot more people are online and looking more at local entertainment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about going to a concert, right? Like, what is every single person in the concert doing? Phone up, recording it. Oh, I'm gonna post it on my Twitter. I'm gonna post it on my Facebook, and all their friends and all their followers are all watching the same stuff that they're watching. So not only did they just have like a 15 or 20,000 person concert, like I don't know the numbers of a stadium, but like multi-thousand, right? But then all those thousands of people like blast it out to their hundreds or thousands of followers and stuff like that. So their one concert turns into like a million person like ad, right?
And you can even do like Facebook. Check that. Dude,
It sounds like one of those old beds. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, dude. By 2021, dude. Production value. Let's go, dude.
It sounds like
yeah.
like 1 o'clock at night, and you're not trying to be too loud for your parents, but your bed is just making too much noise.
Oh yeah. Anyway, whatever, dude. What I was going to go into next was a break. See you guys later. We'll be back in a second. Toasty.
They get
Doesn't K-pop get
hundreds of millions.
hundreds of millions on YouTube, right?
Well, I mean, I think like the average might be 50, 60 million, but whenever there's a really big one, like the latest Blackpink song that just came out,
They had a promo for it
600 million.
They did
or
a
700
promo.
million.
for their freaking video, their
Yeah, they do
music video.
They do teasers.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it had
that's
millions
smart.
of views too, dude. People were crazy. It's insane. It's insane. And people have global. The Beatles had a global following. Mm-hmm. You won't know because YouTube wasn't around. But did they have that many fans? Like legitimately?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, I mean, no.
For sure.
You don't think so?
I think the Beatles had
I think they had millions of fans.
hundreds of millions of fans for sure. Because if you're talking the United States, you're talking at least half of Europe, North America. They're popular in South America. They're popular in Asia. They toured Japan,
They toured everywhere, apparently.
and I mean they went to India too. Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's crazy. I think that that's true too. Like, where does K-pop go? Does it basically like go tour America and Canada or something, and then they're out? Or
With those numbers, it's got to be in Europe too.
Yeah, I mean, K-pop fandom is global. Like it is
Southeast
global.
Asia.
It's everywhere. But I mean, like when it comes to like the actual music itself, I think that it has the English lyrics in there, so it's definitely catered towards Korean
anyone that speaks
and
English, right?
English speakers.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of countries that speak English. I mean, but also, K-pop bands might have Japanese versions of songs.
I've seen that, dude.
Yeah.
So what? So they always like Blackpink specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I love Blackpink's awesome. I love them. I love
Yeah,
I love the
agreed.
music. But I've listened to a couple, like Spotify will always have the Japanese version. You're like, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot
Do they also, the same artists? Do they also make a Japanese version themselves?
like a lot of bands will have Japanese members. So like the band would be made up of like maybe primarily South Korean people or people that are like from South Korea, maybe not necessarily living. Like Blackpink has a member from Australia, and Stray Kids has a member from Australia who speaks like Australian English, like to the T, like straight up English. But you wouldn't know that unless you like really dived into the band and understood them. But then also they have Japanese members too. So like
You can go all over the world. Not all over. You can come from all over the world to work.
Yeah.
To work for this.
They're
thing.
smart that they're catering to the globe. They're not catering to their specific country. Where I think that like maybe American artist is. I mean, obviously American music
It's
is
always
huge,
about America.
but yeah, it's like American problem.
But honestly,
Stuff like
like
that.
I think people do get kind of wound up in this bubble of America, thinking that there's not much else out there, or whatever they might think, or they may not even understand how big actually we might be to the world globally.
Yeah, it's hard to see like what's the perspective of somebody in Vietnam.
What do they think of us?
Yeah,
You don't know.
because we're here, we're in it.
Right.
We just see it all the time, and it just feels like we just hear the same freaking music
Right.
every day. But to them, it's like, oh man, this is my American song that's coming on. It's huge.
Yeah, and sometimes I hear people like talk about how they desire to speak English, or they desire to be in an English speaking country, or some crap like that. Like just a language, they want that. That's weird. The only reasons like I've thought about learning Spanish or learning these other languages is because I might go there.
Well, I think
Maybe a job too. Maybe.
a lot of countries push to learn English because of the economy, because the American economy is so influential in the world.
right.
And I think that if they learn English, that their companies can be more marketable to America, or they can have partnerships with American companies and stuff like that. Because whenever you're associated with America, with your product in any way, then that is like a huge hit, right? Like, I mean, think about like a Japanese car that's made in Japan, but is all over the streets in America.
Yeah.
That car is not only in the streets in America, but it's probably all over the world because of that.
Yeah, man. Wowzers.
Yeah, but I do want to recommend some K-pop bands real quick. I mean, 'cause if people want to start listening, right? I would say BTS, ATEEZ, ATEEZ, Stray Kids, Blackpink,
Dude, Blackpink hits. I love it. It's
Red
cool.
Velvet,
It's good.
Twice,
Twice.
and I could just keep going on. But,
Yeah, but
I
like
mean,
they make a song. Okay, here's what I don't understand about K-pop, dude. They even got me going. Like, there's a song. You want to listen to it? Okay, one second.
play how you like that.
So, hold on. But Twice has a song that's like called Likey something, right?
Likey, that was
Okay.
like my what's it called? Like the drug that gets you into bigger drugs.
I guess, dude. But
Gateway drug.
it's like a guilty pleasure, dude.
Likey was my gateway
As
drug.
soon as I listen to this song, like you're thinking, how am I listening to this? First thing that comes through my head, like this is weird, and then you're into it. Like you're like, this is catchy. Like, oh my gosh.
Because you don't have to try to focus on deep topics. You just have to have fun.
But it sounds like a song at first that would be on like, I don't know, What's a kids show nowadays? Some theme song or something that's like
yeah.
whatever. Hold on, let's play some of this music.
All right.
So how long do K-pop bands like typically last? Are they? I mean, I know that pop bands typically don't last very long, but are they like 6 months and then they kind of go off and do their own thing? Are there a bunch of solo artists?
Surprisingly, I think that K-pop bands actually last quite a while. Like they stay relevant, right? I think that K-pop bands sometimes they have a lot of members, and sometimes they might have members that leave or they might come back. But it's not something that's like super prevalent. Like it's not something that people just talk about all the time. But the thing is, these bands are so large that sometimes they have subgroups within the group. So it's like one overarching group, and then they'll have a subgroup of that band that will have their own album or something like that.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just another way to like push the fandom.
Spread themselves out too. Like the other thing I don't see a lot. The other thing I don't see a lot of is like how do they do anything else? Like do they have they have sponsors or anything? Like
100%. Like K-pop man, like to be a K-pop member, you're not just like a music artist, right? Like you are what's considered an idol, right? So people like you'll see these idols, these K-pop members, do like a whole host of things. Some of them are in K-dramas, which is a whole nother topic.
What?
Yeah, so it's like Korean like drama TV, right? But so, like a lot of them will be like actors in that. Some of them will be actual models, like they'll model for companies, or they'll model for a product and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah, like they do a lot of stuff. It's gonna be that first song.
All right, so here we are, dude. We're looking at Blackpink on Spotify on my TV. What song you want to listen to here?
That very first one.
How you like that?
It's their latest comeback. So
this is Matt's first time listening to K-pop.
it's baller.
Is it a girls group?
It's baller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay? You ready?
I don't listen to girls. Just play it, yeah.
I will try not to sing along.
보란 듯이 무너졌어 바닥을 뚫고 저 지하까지 엊그처럼 잡겠다고 저 높이 두 손을 뻗어봐도 다시 캄캄한 이곳에 light up the sky 네 두 눈을 보며 I kiss you bye.
So you'll hear the English in the song too.
Verse real quick and then there's like boom, drop it. Yeah. It's weird, right? And you imagine like the way she's talking right now. You can literally put like some other pop star that raps something in her place, and they're like she knows what she's doing, right? The way that the verses go, right? Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Alright, so there's your taste of K-pop.
I would also suggest one more.
Okay, we'll do it. Let's do it.
So that was like the most popular girl group. So that song, I think it's around 700 million views right now
on YouTube.
And it's trending.
Holy crap,
it will hit 1 billion if it hasn't already.
Yeah.
Wait, what number is that?
That's just 13 million, yeah. On Spotify, which honestly, that's crazy. Spotify doesn't normally have that many followers. No one really follows other artists on Spotify
Do Stray Kids.
as much as.
So now I'm gonna show you a guy group. Okay. And like here's the thing, you guys are listening to this music just flat without the music video, but the music videos enhance it like times 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can play YouTube as well,
I believe that for sure.
Yeah, you want to do YouTube?
Not just YouTube. Let's do
Yeah.
YouTube. Let's just do it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why podcast. There's no rules, man. We do whatever we want.
Just do what you want.
And what I'll do is like the cool thing is that we're watching this YouTube video. What I'll just do is I'll inlay the video somehow with OBS. I'll just record it. You guys get to see my
Oh, how embarrassing.
stuff, I guess. Bedroom studio soundproofing. All right. Anywho.
Is it because they're like, Sky, you're a little loud, dude?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Do they?
probably.
Do they?
No.
They go, Sky,
Okay.
you're a
They
little-
know what's happening, dude.
You're a little loud, bro.
All right. Stray Kids, right?
Oh, I get it. Yeah, Stray Kids. Get ready. This song hits so hard. It almost knocked me back to 2018. That's how good it is.
What? Okay. All right. Heck yeah.
You're
You know, knocking you back. I am.
Yeah, Stray.
Stray. I think you said straight kids, dude. I
Oh,
was about
no.
to say like what,
That's
but you
this
know
room.
whatever. That would be like, yeah, my bad.
There it is.
Oh, the first thing that popped up, of course, right?
Yeah.
All right, which one is this?
It's the very first music video.
Really, the first one.
Yeah. So hold on, before you hit it, let me set up a little. Let me just kind of like.
You're good. Yeah,
Explain
let's
something
do it.
real quick, right? So there's 7 members, and this band in particular, this was their first like super huge song. Like they have had like songs in the past and like albums, but I think this is like one of their, if not like the biggest album that they've been trying to shoot for. And there's a huge fandom around the members. So like whenever certain members pop up, people really get crazy about, like that particular member. So
Yeah.
throughout the music video, you'll see the video switching from member to member a lot. And
Well-
you can see how people would go crazy whenever their favorite pops up.
So what I was about to say is next. I thought is that guy only a Stray Kids? This guy with blonde hair?
Those two are both members.
But are they? I thought they were on another group. Are they not, or are they?
No, Stray Kids is one group of 7 guys.
Because I guess I thought I saw him somewhere else. Maybe I didn't.
No, it's
So-
because you think they all look very similar, right?
Well, that's not what I meant. But I've
Well, I
seen his
mean-
hairstyle, like right, like a straight, like.
His haircuts are all the
yeah,
same.
it's
Like,
yeah, it's
different colors.
Oh, that guy on the right looks okay. You're right. The haircuts
Yeah.
are kind of okay.
They really do look the same. It's not because of...
yeah. I mean, it's just a.
I didn't know.
It's
Because
just-
some of the members do other like bands, right?
Sometimes, but I mean, members are usually exclusive to a band.
Just their own, like
Yeah.
that's their thing, right?
Mhm.
Interesting. All right, let's watch this one.
All right.
Ads.
Gonna add.
Yeah, skip it. Dude, he has like contacts in. It's crazy.
Pay attention to the dance moves in particular and why people go crazy about dance moves.
I mean, it's kind of really good editing, honestly. Yeah. Gran Turismo.
See, this is like that sub melody I was talking about, and then it gets into the main chorus and then it drops.
Right. That's crazy. I can see how that'd be like something. And this one kind of leans like not as like this kind of leans like not as crazy, happy, positive vibes, but it's also not super negative, right?
It's cool.
It's like cool. Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, the transitions in this music video in particular are very good.
That's awesome.
모두 그냥 집어넣어 눈치 보지 말고 더 망설이지 마
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah. So the K-pop fandom would call that a banger.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude, that actually is a banger. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
and I mean, like,
That's
that's
crazy, man.
It's like, here's another thing about the whole K-pop industry is like, there's all these like terms and lingo and stuff like that people associate with their songs. It's a bop, it's a banger, it's a comeback.
I mean, well,
There's a bias. You have a bias. You have an ultimate bias. Like, there's all these different terms that are part of the fandom. They just make it fun, right? So
Right.
people that are in the fandom like really, really enjoy it because you get to talk about all these things. You get to talk about who your favorite member is or who your ultimate favorite member is, and people can like connect on that way.
yeah, I mean, it's like maybe like sports a little bit, like their teams, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
They're
think
like,
that's a good,
know?
good comparison.
for sure, and like you're just into it, and you know all
Yeah.
about them. You know
Yep.
what they're doing.
Yep.
You know what they're
You know
about.
their
You know
stats.
their like their
Yeah.
quote unquote stats, right? Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I think going back to describing the music, like as far as what that goes, right now I think slang is kind of catching up with in America as far as saying, you know, it's a bop, it's a banger, it's whatever, you know.
And like
The other though, what do you mean bias? What are you talking about?
So a bias is like you might have like a particular member of a group that is your favorite and that you enjoy the most, and that member you would say is like your bias, like you're
Okay, I
like
got
your
you.
bias towards them, and so
Yeah.
you just call them your bias.
Right.
So you can have each group. I mean, you might have a different person that is your bias,
Yeah.
and then from the whole genre of K-pop, you might
Sure.
have like one particular member that you're just over the moon about, and that would be your ultimate bias. So that's like the person that
I feel
you
like
wanna
there's something you
follow
might be able to
everything.
use in other things too, you know.
Yeah, and all this
Maybe.
lingo might definitely come.
I don't know. I haven't heard it anywhere else.
It could definitely have come from American music, and it's just now like very blown up because of K-pop, and the K-pop group just kind of took it and kind of like overtook it, right? But I don't know.
So who's your ultimate?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, now we have to know.
What's your own bias?
I don't think that I particularly have like an ultimate bias, but I do have a couple of bias that I do enjoy the most. I would say nobody's gonna know who these people are, but I'm gonna say it.
Say what group they're a part of.
Sure. So BTS, I would say that my bias for BTS would be Jungkook. He's one of the main vocalists. And then I would say for ATEEZ, my bias is the leader of the group, and his name is Hongjoon. And for Blackpink, I would say that my bias is Jisoo, who is one of the members. She's like one of the main vocalists.
Okay, I was gonna say which one, like as far as is she the one that would do like the melody vocals? Is she the one that would do the rapping stuff?
No, she wouldn't rap. She would be one of like the main like melody
Yeah.
vocalist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
It's like it's a whole big wide world out there, man. You know. So. I kind of wanted. I was excited to talk about this, honestly, just because of how big it's getting. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's growing like
And it's
crazy.
exponentially just gonna get bigger and bigger, right?
Right.
When is it gonna be? It's still not. I feel like it's still not mainstream. You know,
Not in America.
Isn't
It's
that
still,
weird?
It still
Like,
has its niche.
we have. Oh, I know there's fans out there. Like, there's probably closet fans out there right now, dude. You know what I mean? The way it is, right? It's kind of hard to bring yourself to it. Like I said, though, I heard this song and I'm like, wow, that's super good. I'm not going to be that guy. Like, I'm not going to deny that it's good music. You know what I mean?
I think that a
It's not
lot
gonna do it.
of younger people who have not been exposed to K-pop would and like this is like an identity thing for K-pop, right? Is that a lot of people look at it or hear it and they say, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
what's the deal? I don't know what they're saying. And
Sure.
it's like, but whenever you really get into it, it's like, well, that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm not
Yeah.
focusing on what they're saying. I'm focusing
Right.
on the emotion behind what they're saying
Yeah.
and applying that emotion to my own life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is where a lot of like younger people would be like, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying.
I'm trying to imagine, like, you know,
And it's
what-
hard for them to put that music on radio, which is where I think a lot of people listen to their music.
See,
so.
you think so too, don't you? Hey, I've asked people about that, man. Like, people listen to radio still, you know?
Well, people are in cars still. People have commutes still.
Dude, what are you doing, man? Listen to the Toasty podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We don't have any music on there. except for
Unshameful
this time.
plug.
But like, no, for real though. Like Spotify, I thought would be so much bigger as far as like everyone listens to this now. You know, But I guess radio is just so huge. So yeah, that must be a big part of it. They can't get on the radio, so
Radio's easy.
You know?
You just literally turn the dial and it's automatically on. You don't have to plug in your phone. I think a lot of people.
so you do that.
I mean, I like the radio's on for the 60 seconds that it takes me to plug in my phone and put my own music on.
So you do that though. You plug your own music in, right? You're like, yeah, screw that.
Usually.
Because it's not.
I mean,
K-pop.
usually I'm listening to exactly.
It's not K-pop. It's like
usually
K-pop.
I'm listening to K-pop.
Right. Mine's Bluetooth, I guess. I thought everyone would be that way now, where it's just like automatic connection, you know.
Well, I mean, you have to have a newer car that has Bluetooth.
No,
A
you're
lot of
right.
people
You're
drive-
right.
I mean,
That's
like,
true. I'm
driving
not
down
trying
the
to
road,
say
right?
anything here.
I listen to AM radio, so
What the heck? Well, you listen to talk shows and stuff.
yeah.
Freaking political science majors, dude. What are you gonna do? Nerds, man.
Nerds.
Toasty. So popping your joints is like good.
A lot of people would argue against
That's
that.
weird, man. Yeah, I would too. Like I don't know. It seems weird.
I think the sound is uncomfortable for people, so they associate the uncomfort of the sound with the uncomfort of the hand, and it must be a bad thing.
All right, so I got this new thing going, guys. We're gonna try something new. I just kind of want to do something that's kind of fun or whatever. But I'm using a topic generator. I don't know how this is gonna go because so far it's not that good.
We'll do the presidential election.
Yeah, who do you
Just
think's
to-
gonna win?
Yeah, basic thoughts on that.
Okay.
We'll do reopening from COVID. When do you think that's going to happen? How do you think that's going to roll out? And
Yeah.
we'll do, let's see,
Funny story this week.
what happened that was funny this week?
This is for him, dude. Get a story to tell.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you could start with a story and then pick one of the two topics if you want.
Let's do
You wanna
that.
Let's do that.
Oh,
Call
dude,
it an
yeah.
audible.
From now on, dude, guests, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, tell a funny story or a good story from this past week in your life. Positive vibes only.
Hopefully, they're
Hashtag. And we'll do the two topics. We'll just which one do you want to do? It'll be a question about the reason we're doing this is also not. It doesn't have to relate to K-pop necessarily because presidential election does not. But it's more.
it's relevant.
It's relevant. A little survey, little thinking thing going on here. Getting some thoughts
I
thrown
can
out
have
here.
an answer for all those. I don't have to go into too much detail.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's just do it. Let's just knock it out.
Okay, so I'll start with the presidential election. I think that. I mean,
Who do you want to win, and who do you think is gonna win? Oh my god.
who do I want to win? I think between the options that we have, I think I want to Donald Trump to win. Between the options that we have, right? I mean,
The Donald.
there's a lot of
It's a binary choice. You get.
yeah, it's either A or B, right?
I mean, you could fill in Mickey Mouse like one of those guys.
But it's really A or B.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
It really is
It's easy to
until our boy Biden gets in office and dies miraculously out of some way. Not miraculously, and then Kamala Harris is the president, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, then Speaker of the House after that. So.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but
And
then
then,
she would be the first. She would be the first female president, the first black female
But
president.
she wouldn't be the first female elected president.
Correct. She would not be the first elected female president. So I think that I want Donald Trump to win because I lean conservative. I lean I think that a lot of the stuff going on in America, the culture issues that we have, I think
that we've actually been talking about.
Yeah.
Hip-hop culture and
Well,
our music culture.
exactly. I think that the U.S. has a culture identity problem right now. I mean, people want to say it has a race problem. I think that there are definitely race issues in America, but I think that the broad scope of it is that we have a culture problem, and that unfortunately, we might have races align with specific types of cultures, and that I think that these cultures are just not seeing eye to eye. Not that one is necessarily bad or good. It's just that we have people that aren't seeing eye to eye. And I think that a lot of that press and a lot of that that drive to divide people is a very, unfortunately, a very liberal agenda topic right now. I think that it's just a tool for people to use, and I think people fall for it, unfortunately. And so, do I think that Donald Trump is going to win? I do. I think that he's going to win. I don't want to say it's going to be a landslide or anything like that, because there's a huge Democratic base that's going to come out to support Joe Biden, even though there's a lot of stuff on him. And I think that if you look online, I think a lot of people are just not really thrilled about either option. But I think that the base, the Donald Trump base of people that support him, are extremely loyal. I'm not one of those people that's like, bleed red or nothing like that. But I think that his base will come out to support him for sure. And I think that Biden might run into an issue that Hillary had, and that was clearly, she's going to win, right? Clearly. So why would I need to go out and vote? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
There's
I think
a big enthusiasm gap too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the enthusiasm behind Trump is like, oh man,
through the roof.
Oh yeah, I mean, like,
enthusiasm for Biden is like almost none.
Yeah, I mean, like you see these streams, right? Like you see streams that Biden's doing from his basement or whatever, and you see like the viewership on it, or you see the like to dislike ratio on YouTube for all of his videos, and it's like jarringly negative for him, unfortunately for him. And you see the view count, but then you look at some random state Trump rally, and you look at the view count on that, and it's gigantic. Like, it's huge, and the like ratio is huge. So I think that you're right. I think the enthusiasm gap is very massive.
So, pretty deep. I like it though. We're good. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's crazy how those topics, like, they always hit something,
Mm-hmm.
They hit different. They hit different.
Yeah.
And you just talk about it and you're like, wow, this is
Yeah,
interesting.
but I mean, like everything right now, you don't want to go into too much detail because people are very sensitive to who people support. But I think that's the beauty of America, is that you should be able to support and like who you want and have your point of view without that being a problem for you. I think that as long as you don't try to impose your views on other people, I think that's the ultimate goal, right? I think that's true freedom. Like, freedom isn't having okay, so like, perfect example. Today I saw like a ad. It was clearly from a liberal point of view. It was like, your vote is so important, so important. But at the very end, they just say, you should vote. They don't say like directly, like, you should vote for Biden. They're like, make sure you go out and vote. But then in the background in their head, they're like, but if you don't vote the same way as me, then you're a freaking, terrible person. But yeah.
You must be.
Yeah, clearly, right?
Yeah. Holy crap. What was that next question we had? Next topic?
Reopening?
Oh, when are we going to reopen?
I would
You said like 6 months, right?
yeah, I think 6 months is
Okay,
like,
when I think about reopening, I think about back to normal. But if you're just talking about reopening, I guess, yeah.
well, I mean, you have to like imagine, like, we're pretty much reopened right now, especially here in Texas, right?
Yeah, New York, you can't eat at a restaurant. So, New York reported 0 deaths over the weekend or yesterday? 0 deaths yesterday. You still can't eat at a restaurant. Meanwhile, we've always been able to eat at restaurants in Texas. We were locked down for just a short time.
And everyone just starts throwing this like, oh, this other country's doing it and they're doing fine, blah blah. You just can't compare countries. I'm not comparing countries anymore. It's dumb.
I think that you can to an extent, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but
you can on like broad terms, right? Like, what is like the big difference? Like, what are these huge jarring
Right.
differences? And the difference is the United States has made it political.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't need to be political,
Not at
but
all.
America has this incredible way that it just makes everything political, right? Where you look at any other country and they're like, we have leadership, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. The public supports it or not, or like, is usually
Generally
supportive,
of their leadership.
and then they solve it and it's done.
Yep.
But then you have all these people like fighting back and forth. in
Another
America.
huge factor of why COVID spread so rapidly in America, and it did affect us worse than a lot of other countries. It's because we're so unhealthy in this country. Our life expectancy. We have the best healthcare. We have the best everything. The best infrastructure. We have flat screen TVs in the poorest of households, but we're still fat and lazy, and that's why we've got hit by COVID so hard because it affects elderly people and it affects obese people and it affects people with diabetes hard.
Underlying conditions, and a lot of people in
Absolutely.
America with underlying conditions.
Absolutely, and it's because of our unhealthy lifestyle and because of our processed foods. Basically processed foods.
Yeah, and no one's talking about like, immune system, take your vitamin freaking D and zinc and whatever else. Make sure you're on it, Like
Yeah.
they're talking about making a medicine political, Hydroxychloroquine's not it, and this is it, and blah blah. It's a mess, man.
Yeah,
It's a
I
mess
mean, like,
for
well,
sure.
what they've done is like with that drug in particular is that they have aligned the message of that drug as a
With-
political statement.
Yeah, with
and so
the,
you
like,
must be
more right side.
yeah, you
You're
must
like,
be
what
a
the heck?
right leaning person to
What?
like
Doesn't
to
make any
like that
sense,
drug,
right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Um,
But going back
Yeah,
to
man.
like what you were saying, Matt, about the U.S. being unhealthy, or like why has it hit the U.S. so hard? And I think that a lot of it is a big question mark, right? Like, there's a lot of questions. Is how is our reporting? We're reporting significantly higher than any other country, but how is our reporting? Is it accurate? I mean, there's tons of things that come out and say like, well, the death, right? It's like if they had potential symptoms and they had a death, does it get counted towards the death rate or does it not, right? So there's like all these different factors that get intertwined, and you know what the thing is that we'll never know. We will never know because it is so muddy, and there's so many people that are being muted or are muting themselves or don't have the means to get out and say it, and having every state handling it completely different and reporting it completely different. There's no way that we'll ever know.
Yeah. I think also looking at states that are in the best shape versus states that are in the worst shape, I feel like there's a direct correlation between how Colorado has been affected, which is the state has the people most fit people are in Colorado, and then a state like New Jersey, which is probably like 47th out of 50 as far as people being in shape, and they've got one of the highest death rates. I think they might have the highest death rate. Them in New York.
Of course, you can also say like population density and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
Los Angeles, though. Los Angeles, the population density is not quite the same. It's more suburbs.
Yeah,
everyone's fit.
but
But everyone's fit in LA.
but their state literally shut down. Like the second week, it was like full 100% stop.
They're still doing it, man. They're still
Yeah.
shut down. The mayor decided he's going to shut down parties at houses by turning off the electricity and water to the house, which is crazy to me.
I don't know if you've ever been to a party, but that ain't gonna stop a party.
That's the liberties. That's the liberties question. But yeah, I agree with you.
Generators.
Right.
They exist.
Yeah, I know. People are gonna have them. All right, dude. So tell us this freaking story you've been waiting to tell us.
No, it's not that big of a story. Well, I mean, this kind of ties into like my whole.
Well, you're earning your damn T-shirt, so
Well, okay, so I've had. This is semi-related, but like I've been kind of soul searching when it comes to like which phone I would like to use. In phone OS, I would like to use. Soul
I'm on the
searching.
edge of
in
my
phone.
chair. Let's go. Yeah,
And so I've been beta testing for iOS.
dude, it's cool, right?
It is cool,
It's
but
a beta, bro. Come on.
I know it's cool. I have some things about it that I'm not like particularly fond of. And then we're talking about iOS 14 beta. It is cool. But I think right now, like, I think that the Apple ecosystem is just not very akin to me right now. And so I've been like heavily Google lately. And so pretty much every phone on my, every app on my phone right now is a Google app. And I've been using pretty much primarily Apple. I keep
Google?
messing up. I've been using primarily Google apps right now.
Really?
And I've really enjoyed it. I've actually really enjoyed it. I think that the simplicity and the fact that I can log in anywhere on a Google, on like any computer, anywhere, anything, and I can have complete access to my photo library, to my notes, to my calendar, to all these things. Like it doesn't matter where I am or what device I'm on. Like with all your Apple stuff, right? I hope you have your personal device with you because that's where you'll see it, right? And I think that Apple's really been dropping the ball when it comes to smart home inclusion. Whenever you talk about their own personal products, or you talk about what is it, HomeKit or whatever, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was called HomeKit. Now I think it's just called Home, but like
Home or something like that. It's
no
like
one uses
it's
it.
very muddy, right? And so
it's not that good. Yeah, for sure.
you think about, like, I think about like my house right now, and like everything I have is Google. It's a Google Nest. I have the Nest cams. I have Google Homes all over my house. I have the Nest thermostat, which is owned by Google.
Yeah.
And so whenever I think about like incorporating my life, it just makes sense to like try out Google. And so whenever the Pixel 5 and the iPhone 12 come out, obviously iPhone has full support of Google Apps, so I can stay with the iPhone 12. But if the Pixel 5 really impresses me, then I think that I might give it a shot.
Unfortunately, I had to make it political, but I got really like turned off from Google recently. Not recently. I have been getting slowly turned off by them. They're super convenient. They're awesome. But I'm very weary, and I'm getting more afraid that they are breaking. They're bending and breaking to our government, which is not good, because that also means they've probably already bent and broken to other governments as far as privacy goes. Of course, privacy is always the question, and you're going to say Apple probably has these problems too, and they might. They might definitely have these problems.
Look at the iCloud hacks.
But, and I know there was iCloud. That's exactly what I knew you were going to bring up. Everyone brings that up. I get that. But out of that one thing, they have closed off their ecosystem, and I think it's for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, Apple has always been like super heavy on the
They have.
privacy thing. And I think when I look at my life and what I put on the internet, I'm very minimal when it comes
Sure.
to internet activity.
Well, you're about to be on the internet with this podcast. That's the next thing I was about to say. Like, you, at some point, you gotta. I even need to stop thinking about that, because if I cared, why would I do this? For
Yeah.
face recognition and all that stuff. It's right here, baby.
Yeah, I
Come
mean-
and take it.
Driver's license
I got
is
you.
already out there, so
TikTok or whatever. Like,
they've
I
got your face.
I think I'm already there, and I would be quote unquote doomed. So I'm coming to terms with it.
Yeah,
all I'm
I
saying.
think that is a personal choice. I mean, when I look back at my life, or like what I have on the internet, I'm like, do I really care if somebody sees some information about me? Like, I really don't really care.
As long
Because everything that you have right now is on the internet. I don't want to
yeah.
like break your heart.
Oh yeah,
but,
no, it is
like,
for sure.
Like
I
coming from
agree.
the fraud perspective, right? It's like I can, like look up pretty much any personal detail about somebody. I can their age, their
Mm-hmm.
like what house they live in, their phone number. I have access to all those things, right?
Yeah.
Because people give that information to companies. They give it to their phone provider. They give it to their electricity,
Mm-hmm.
to their water, they give out all this stuff. And then what does those companies do? Like those companies give that information out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sell it.
it's public domain, right? And so it's like in today's age, trying to hide is like, I mean, it's like, what's the point? I
If
mean,
you're as far
a good-
ingrained
if
as
you're
we
a-
are,
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah. I mean, if you're just a decent person and you're not trying to like have some like malicious illegal activity that you're trying to do online, then it's like, what is
Right
the point
now,
of
today, you're right. I'm getting more weary of, like when we had Blaze Foray on, we were talking about the stuff that we're talking about, like 1984 in real life and things like that. Like we're talking about these things where
What
we're
the FBI is doing and the NSA is doing things.
CIA and we're going deep state and on this podcast, and like I don't know why I turned that way. It doesn't matter. And like we end up in a place where it's like in the future, very quickly. What if they, decide, like Democrats win or something like that, and they're usually more lenient to this. They decide that they're going to go make sure all your guns are registered and all this stuff you might think about. I'm okay with people knowing my house address, home address, my phone number, everything. As long as I still have my ability to protect myself, I'm cool. Let's do it. Right? That's the only thing that I can say would lead to a bad thing. Because they already have that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now when in the future they still have it and we're screwed, what are we doing? That's a very big thing to get into, but I
think as long as the government knows its boundaries to these companies, I think that is probably where I
See, that's the thing is like with the Snowden revelations, is the government has absolutely no bounds, and then with the with like what the Durham probe is releasing about the FBI and the FISA abuse that happened, if they're willing to do it to a presidential campaign, they're definitely going to be willing to do it to the average American, no problem.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, if you're an average American not doing illegal malicious activity, then
but that's the
what's
thing
the
is
fear?
the Obama administration, they weren't going after people that were committing crimes. They were going after conservative 501c3 nonprofit organizations. And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. I personally believe that I was personally attacked by the federal government because as soon as I came out, this is something I don't talk about very much.
He's
But
like,
as soon as I
prove
came out as a libertarian, as soon as I started
Come out of the closet.
as soon as I started voting libertarian, and my voting record became public, I think I was about 19 years old when I first voted. And I started becoming a lot more outspoken about it. I was issued, out of the blue, a second Social Security number. And it effed up my taxes for several years because I had two Social Security numbers randomly issued to me shortly after marching on Austin for a political rally, and then shortly after becoming a very outspoken libertarian. And it took me months and months and hours at the Social Security office in Brazos County to clear it all up, and I'm still pretty sore about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't trust the federal government at all. Like, not even a little
Yeah,
bit.
and like I think a great habit to get in is whenever things ask questions about you, there's always a selection to I prefer not to answer. I think a great habit that I think everyone should do is select I prefer not to answer, because like what does it matter if Google or Spotify knows that you're a male or a female? Like they use that data for their own personal reasons, but what does it benefit you? It benefits you in absolutely no way. So I think that would be a great habit for people to get into is like answer, I prefer not to answer. I prefer not to answer.
That's good. Yeah, you plead the
gender,
fifth, you
your
know?
something. Yeah.
Plead
I mean,
the
you don't
freaking
have-
fifth. You don't have
like,
to answer.
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wowzers. That was it.
But
That was
no,
a crazy story.
that's
the phones.
not even my story.
The phones, dude. It's not?
No, that's just a topic. That
Oh
that I
my
really wanted to talk
gosh,
about.
dude. All right.
My story is I'm beta testing this iOS 14, and I'm going to bed. It's pretty late. It's probably like midnight, and I'm messing with my notes. And I'm switching between apps, and it gets stuck. The phone gets stuck in the Notes app, and I can't go home. I can't swipe up. I can't like switch apps. I can turn off the screen and then unlock it, but then it goes right back to the Notes app. So I'm stuck on the Notes app. I can't get it off. It's making me so mad, and it's like I can't figure it out. And so I'm like, okay, well let me just reset the phone, right? Let me just kill it, right? And I was under the impression that to kill the iPhone 10, you would hold the power button and a volume button. But I guess that I wasn't up to date on what exactly that does. So whenever you hold the and like you have to have the setting turned on, and mine was clearly turned on. If you hold the power button or the home button or whatever you call it, side button, and a volume button at the same time, you'll hear a 1 chime, 2 chimes, 3 chimes, and then it calls the cops.
I knew where this is going, dude. I was like, dude, you did that?
I heard the chime once, and I was like, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like it's gonna, and like it was in my head that the idea that it was going to be like an emergency call was in my head, but for some reason I was like, let me just hold it down and see what happens. So I hold it down, and I hear beep, 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 and I see, because the phone is stuck in the Notes app, I see the little green square in the top left corner with the phone icon. And I'm like, oh crap. I know it's calling the police. And so I sit up, and my wife is like, what's going on? And I was like, I'm talking to the cops right now. I'm talking to the cops right now. My phone's bugged and I can't fix it. And
They're
she's
coming
like,
for us. We got to leave. Pack your shit.
yeah. And she's like, what? And so I'm like, hold on a second. So as soon as they answer, I'm like, this is the police, isn't it? She goes, yes, what is your emergency? And I was like, I basically explained, I'm like, my phone is messing up. I tried to restart it and it did the emergency call. And she's like, well, what is your address and your name? So I had to provide her my address and name because dispatchers, that's like the first thing that they have to get because, you know, like let's say for some reason I was actually lying, right? Then she could, you know, like cross-reference the information that I'm giving
See
her.
if there's any like stuff that always happens at your place, or see if there's
Yeah.
any other things that happened in the past,
Yeah.
domestic violence, things like that. Yeah.
There was like a domestic violence case where the victim called 911 and then was ordering a pizza.
Yeah, that's a very popular one. The whole ordering pizza. Yeah, I think a large Dr. Pepper, 2 liter, and then a large. Come help me, please. But yeah, that's really popular. So basically, she asked me my information, and it was funny because when it first popped up, that you can click the little green square at the top left, like if it's navigating or something like that, you can click that and it'll swap apps. But it was stuck on the Notes app, so I just had to go through the whole call. I couldn't hang up. And I didn't want to hang up because that's a bad sign for a dispatcher when they get a call and then they just get a hang up, right?
I did that once.
Yeah.
Called an accident and hung up immediately.
Did they call you back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to answer. My mom was like, "You have to answer that." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah.
They're gonna think you're somebody.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, they take their job seriously, which is great,
I was
right?
like, "Hey."
So,
were
I had to tell her, and she was like, "All right, well, there's no emergency." I'm like, "No, ma'am, I'm sorry for the inconvenience," and I hung up, and then I had to explain it to my wife.
Yeah.
Of course, because she's like, "What the heck? It's like almost 1:00 in the morning, and you're
Yeah.
talking to police? That's weird."
Oh my gosh, dude.
And so then I had to go to bed the rest of the night, thinking, am I gonna get a knock at the door randomly? Making sure, like, you just never know.
You never go to bed now,
And so I found out, in case anybody's wondering, to kill an iPhone, volume up, volume down, side hold. Kills
That's it?
That's it. So it killed it and it fixed my bug. And I guess the most interesting part was right before that happened, the beeping was going off, and my wife was asking me, "Hey, do you need me to look it up for you? You need me to look it up?" I'm like, no. I got it.
Well,
She's
yeah,
like,
you
"Hey,
think like
are
we're
you-
techie, right? We're
are you-
supposed to be able to get this.
Exactly. I go, "Are you sure you don't?" I can Google it real quick. I have my phone. We can just Google it real quick. And I'm like, no, I got it. 10 seconds later, I'm talking to a dispatcher. So that's my funny story for the week.
Dang, dude. Yeah, you had it coming to you, I guess, huh?
I did.
That's crazy. That's insane. Wow, we have had a good old time on the Toasty podcast. So I appreciate you coming on, man. That was cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It was fun.
some K-pop talk. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Stay toasty.
Stay toasty.
Toasty.